Warlocks and waffles. Warlocks and waffles. Warlocks and waffles. Pact once broken, forged. A pact once broken, forged anew. Waffles. Warlocks and 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 waffles. A pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks and waffles. Forged anew.
Did you want waffles? We smashing or passing? Fuck, I didn't know you. Sorry. That wasn't a bit. That wasn't a bit. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Warlocks and Waffles, a TTRPG morning show. Oh my goodness, Judy.
It accidentally was one of the best openings I've ever done.
Oh man. The number of times that Junie has like said something and then immediately been like, wait, is that the first thing that was said live? I'm like, no, we're not live yet. And he's like, oh, good. And then he'll still say something right as we go live. Welcome to the show, y'all. This is it. This is us. Happy to be here. Welcome. Yeah, Junie. How you doing? How was your week? Awkward silence.
That was a good sentence.
Thanks. I got very thrown off. I had a whole intro thing and it was fully thrown off by we smashing or passing.
That was my week, man. Just like looking at anything, going, "Would I smash or pass? That stapler, that bottle of water, unless." It rained yesterday, right? And
It did.
I just my wife said she thought she heard thunder, and I said, "Are you sure?" And then I asked my Google Hub what the weather was outside, and then I realized that's the era I live in. I don't look out windows or outside at all
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I look at my watch or I ask my home, what is it like out there in the big wide world? What's that sky be doing? And I don't know anymore. And then it said like it's not raining, but there's gonna be thunderstorms tonight. And I was like, oh, I guess you're right. And she's like, yeah, I heard thunder. And she just knew it was gonna rain because she's a responsible adult and she knew what
Right.
the weather was like. Yeah.
That's fun.
Oh yeah, but that's just me realizing I don't know.
You don't know how to tell what the weather is?
Yeah. But you know what? I realized this for years that I was going to be the kind of adult that never that retained my childlike wonder when
Mhm.
it comes to the phenomenon of the earth. Like when the time changes or like it gets late, like anytime I go outside and it's like getting light or dark at a certain hour, I always react as if like this is the newest shit on the planet.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's 5 o'clock and it's this bright or it's
Yeah.
this dark. Or it's like it's 8 o'clock and it looks like it's midnight. What's happening right now? And I'm just always like questioning who's pranking me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like this happens literally every year.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that about you. This has been
I've never had anybody say that.
possibly our least interesting intro of all time. And this episode has started with awkward silence, transitioned into literally talking about the weather.
The weather. Yeah.
We're a TTRPG morning show, which means we are just playing fast and loose and just doing all the crazy shit that the government doesn't want you to know about.
We're creative masterminds that know how to make engaging creative world building with weather.
Yeah.
Compelling characters that provoke the questions, would you smash and or pass? Now, there's something that happened while you breathed right now that for me made your breathing funnier. Your camera went out of focus right now for a split second, almost as if your rage was so palpable your camera
It
couldn't
was
like
my camera was trying to focus on the aura of rage around me.
Contain anger.
Yeah, for anybody who didn't watch last episode,
It was real sexy.
Junie kept switching to smash or pass games. So and he has continued to attempt to just return to that today. And I'm not having it. I'm a champion of nonsense, but sometimes it's too far.
I'm a champion of nonsense, but an even bigger prude.
How dare you, sir?
I know, but that was just a fun sentence to say. Hunter, what are we doing today? I believe you said something about going to Carnival, and I don't have a feather boa. Something like that.
Yeah. So one of my groups, one of the characters in that party, forever ago, back at the beginning of the campaign, had kind of been fleshing out their backstory and had said that they are from the swamps. They're from this little town in the swamps. They are a lizard folk. So it's like a lizard folk and other swamp type people. And so they had built out this character and they play them very much with like this sort of Cajun feel, like down in the bayou type of energy. And so the party has gone to their town a few times. The We had a session last night where they had gone there and are like staying there for a few days, and they've been told that there is this festival that is happening this weekend. And so next session is going to start with the festival. So as I'm like building this out, I was thinking like sort of Mardi Gras carnival type of energy to it. But there are so many different places you can go with that, so many different like elements you can play with in a sort of festival environment. It is kind of a small town, so it's not anything massive. But there's still a lot that you can do in that space. So I figured today, let's talk about festivals and games and figure out some different things that players could encounter at this sort of festival and flesh those out and go from there.
I like it. I like it, especially because you can have a lot of sensory.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of
sensory
things you can do
type
to
stuff
just
that
kind of like
you can kind of
paint
play with.
paint a
Yeah.
word picture. Yeah. And it also, if you play with people that come from different backgrounds and such, you could do my favorite trick where you half describe things and let them kind of fill in gaps, let them take some of like the narrative like brain power.
Yeah.
So that way you can focus on like I made sure I made these 3 or 4 building blocks, but when it comes to the smells or when it comes to the general like music or something like that, you just say something around like it smells delicious. What
Mhm.
is that smell? And then people can kind of go from there. It's like it's sweet, so it's savory stuff,
Yeah.
and then you can let them kind of like make some dishes or give you the pivot point, so that way you can like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, but you didn't have to think of food and all that stuff. You just let
Right.
them kind of half build it for you.
Kind of communal world building
Hmm.
through the event.
Yep.
Um, okay. Well, Junie, as we start building this stuff out, what are some of the main categories of things for you in a festival? Like we already kind of touched on food.
Yeah.
That's a big
Food.
category. What are some
Hmm.
other ones? For me, I think of like games. Like there have to be some sort of game or activity in connection
Well,
to
that
it.
festival festival's one thing because festival's usually like a celebration type of situation,
Hmm.
and then carnival I think of games and it almost feels circusy. Now, I don't know if you
Sure.
said, did you? I know Rosie said carnival, and I feel like I heard you say I said carnival, but like, is it also carnival-y or
I think of it like
because a festival I
um
always feel like has a purpose.
sure. It's a celebration of a specific thing usually.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm envisioning this as like like Mardi Gras meets like a local like a small town like festival
fair.
like fair. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
because
Mardi
like when I
Gras
think of
meets
fair,
a
yeah.
small town fair is like very much the vibe here. Um,
Then what I imagine then, because when I think of fair, carnival, things
yeah.
like that, I do think of games,
Uh-huh.
but when I think of Mardi Gras and festival, I don't.
You think more
So if this is like,
parade.
I think of parades definitely, um, but if there is like a town and that kind of vibe,
Yeah.
I imagine there's kids. There would be attractions of that sort.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, that's stupid. Don't include any of them. I almost feel like they would be region locked or like, oh yeah, the West End is family games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Mm.
if you look, there's like a band, a big circle band of like games and vendors and stuff like that. Then it's the food band and the inner core that where the party be. That's the
Mm.
debauchery section. Almost like it's like divided in a way where it's like people can meander in a way with purpose.
Mhm.
So it's just like, I'm hungry, let's go to the food ring. And it's like that,
Yeah.
like, encapsulation thing, or it's just like, oh, we can walk and it's like games and you can
Yeah.
be in whatever section you are, but you could see games and you can kind of like pivot in and out, or if it's chunks, whatever it is. But if it is a
Yeah.
festival, everything has a unifying theme or whatever the unifying thing is. But if it's more of like Mardi Gras and debaucherous, but it's still like towny and
Yeah.
specific, I almost imagine there's all morality is going to be wavy in any world and stuff like that, but almost like a conscious of like something for families, children, things like that.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
there's a party still happening, and like there's that understanding. It's like, well, it's going to get wild too.
Yeah, growing up, my the town I lived in are had like a fair that they did every year. And there was like one street that was closed down that had like a bunch of food vendors on it, and another area that was closed down that had like a little market type thing where people were selling different stuff, like different like little doodads and stuff. The you have like a section of
Yeah.
like games and activities. There's usually like a central area where like the main events of the festival are happening, like stuff like that. I like having it divided into sections. I think that's a very good call. Um, so we've got like the food, games, some sort of parade. Music is going to be a big part of this. Divided into kind of like different sections of the area. I'm gonna add debauchery because you said that. I
Well,
think that's
yeah, I don't know.
a
I don't know how
good a
sexy
good a good element.
your thing is, but it's like one of those things where if it's like depending on what the point, if it's like
Hmm.
a wholesome, like, it's a family festival, then like there's probably not going to be a section or whatever divided until like divided into like, oh, this is where it gets wild.
Hmm.
But it could be like, oh, once a certain hour hits that happens, or if it's like divided in a way where it's almost you're like, oh yeah, there's rings of whatever, and this ring is like games and vendors and stalls, and if you go past that section or ring, it almost creates a wall of morality where everything beyond it gets fuzzy and debaucherous. Where it's like the way it's structured also prevents like any sort of unwanted or undesired crossing of themes and ideas.
Yeah. And it's the for my game specifically, it's kind of a like very small town. So it could also be like time locked of like after a certain time, it's like all the kids have to go to bed and things get
Hmm.
wild. Or like a specific location of like this one building is where this is taking place. Being divided into like rings doesn't necessarily mean like concentric circles moving out. It can be like this area and this
Yeah.
area, which helps keep things organized as well. Um, okay, cool. Well, let's dive in here.
What
Um,
is the specific, unifying like thing? Like the one like the name. Do you have a name?
Oh, so it's not necessarily a festival in a like this is the festival of the harvest. This is the festival of like the spring equinox, like anything like that. It's the year has been a pretty difficult year. And
Uh-huh.
they have lost some people that were important to them in this like small community. And so it is the birthday of one of these people that they lost. And so they are celebrating like the lives of those people, and they're celebrating the fact that they have like
Oh, this is a
survived
party.
this year.
This is just a party then.
Yes, it's a party, but it's a like town wide like festivities and games and like
Is this the first
things.
of this kind?
Yeah, it's the first time they've done something like this. Yeah,
Oh, so they're
they've
inventing a
probably
holiday. They're
done
inventing a
things.
holiday right now, I
They've
think.
probably
They're
done festivals like this in the past, but this is like it's not an
they've never applied it
annual
to a
thing.
person's birthday or ever applied it to like okay. All right. So it's almost like it's almost like this is their first Mardi Gras. Like, this is going to like could you like envision this in something as something where it's they're doing it.
Hmm.
They're just doing it to in a celebration of of someone's life of whatever to get their minds off of XYZ.
Right.
And then this is the kind of thing where afterwards it's like we should do this again next year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they've accidentally created a tradition, like
Yeah.
they accidentally
I like that.
created like from generations. And I was like, why do we do this, debaucherous ring party? And it's just like, I don't remember. But you
Yeah.
know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah. I'm into that. I like that a lot. I think it in kind of that spirit, it would also be like different people in the town are probably like everybody in town knows that this is a thing that's happening.
Hmm.
But
Except one guy.
everybody's kind of planning their own things for it, if that makes sense. Of like
Hmm.
one guy is like, "Oh, I know what we need for this. We need like bobbing for apples, and is gonna go like all out on that. And another person's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna organize like a parade. Like I'm gonna gather a band. Another person's like, I'm gonna just cook a bunch of food. Another person's gonna like carve jack-o'-lanterns. Like everybody is kind
Then
of
yeah, this
doing
is
the thing that they think will elevate this event in some way.
you have a fun like non-problem now where it's you have you think about it like all right, you think about the elements of all the things you want at this type of thing, and then you have to actually kind of make them not match
Right,
because you're
because it's
also
not
making
uniform.
because yeah, you're making some sort of festival potluck where
Festival potluck is such a good way to phrase this.
yeah, because you're kind of like going like everybody thinks of what they would want and a big celebration
Yeah.
of this type of thing, and then they bring what they interpret as a good or appropriate or whatever they want to contribute to this
Hmm.
thing, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, we have like a pumpkin carving contest, but we also have like a goose fighting ring. You know, just like whatever like, you know, it's gonna be all these things. And then once again, there's gonna be this thing where generations from now it's gonna be people with like eating like a fried dough that's in like the effigy of like a goose while they're like watching like ostrich races, and they're
Yeah,
just like, why do we eat gooses and then actually race ostriches? And
yeah,
it's just like, I don't know, man. That's just how my grandpa said they did it.
yeah.
And that's
There's
just kind
like
of like what happened.
generations down the line,
Yeah.
people are like, every year they're trying to raise the angriest goose,
Yeah, like
because
think
like
of something
the
that
goose fighting ring happens. It's just people who are going and taking levels of druid to just be able to wild shape into a goose so that they can participate in the battles.
like
Um,
you have this thing
we
because I know
we here at
you
Warlocks and Waffles do not support animal fighting.
correct. This is obviously a world where magic exists and our normal conventional rules and like logic has to be out the window
Right.
because this is a world where like a goose can be
The geese
intelligent,
want
like
to fight.
an awakened goose that consents to this and
Yeah.
is probably getting paid for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the same way that like, oh, that that dwarf is an underground cage fighter.
Yeah.
There's
This is Goose
technically
Fight Club.
nothing yeah, technically there's nothing that stops us from imagining a world where there is a like a goose MMA. This is the nexus point of like a goose
Yeah.
like fighting league.
Yeah.
Or like a goose luchador situation. Like imagine a bunch of masked geese that try to differentiate themselves in some way, shape, or form. Um
M-
so
MMH. Mixed
yeah,
martial honks.
that's good. And then like, you know, once again, 50 years down the line, and it's like, yo, MMH, you still go to those? And it's just like, yeah, no, it's really cool. It's just like it's all staged, man. They pre-pick who's gonna win that.
Yeah.
And it starts out as like awakened angry geese that are just like pissed off and they're like, oh yeah, you get extra food and money if you win. And they're just and it's like real scrappy. And if you think about down the line, it becomes like the most theatrical WWE crap
Yeah.
on the planet. And since you do like connected worlds and you do time jumps,
Uh-huh.
like it's almost like don't get because I'm already seeing how this can be misinterpreted. Because that's a fun exercise. Because do as many disjointed things because then what you will get to do is you will then get to go, how could somebody fuck this up? Or like how could this
Yeah.
devolve into something so random?
Yeah.
Like imagine a never ending, you know how we talked about never ending soups?
Yeah.
Like imagine a soup that they're like, this is real good. You know what? Hey, keep it going so that way we could have more of the soup next year.
Yeah.
And then it's just no one knows what the soup of the year is gonna taste like because they just kind of keep it going all year. And it's just one of those things
Yeah.
that it's just like this is the same soup my grandpa had. He says it doesn't say same, but it's the same pot, and they just never stopped.
It's really baked in there.
Hmm.
Um, I love this.
So
That's good.
do you have townsfolk? Uh, like this will be my next question once we figure out like the categories. But do you already have townsfolk in mind that will be contributing major elements to this event?
Um, there are definitely some townsfolk that like have already been well established. So Mama Gaither, who is the mom of the like person that the festival is kind of being thrown in honor of, um, she is like a cook, loves cooking, is like a master cook. So she is going to be just doing tons and tons of food stuff. Um, then you have uh a person who's like this weird, like, you know what a drider is?
Yeah.
Where they're like top kind of like a centaur, but it's like half elven and
Yeah,
half
yeah, yeah.
spider. They are bottom half crab, and top half is this weird sort of aquatic alien looking creature. They're a nightmare.
I was about
But
to say I was literally gonna say nightmare. Yeah.
yeah, but they're definitely like the sort of like witch doctory kind of great old one hag type energy. Um, they also deal drugs. So like they'll probably be deeply involved in the debauchery side of things.
I already
Um,
got like a cool thing you can do that would be festival themed,
okay.
and I kind of want to shoehorn it in real fast before we
Yeah.
forget. Imagine like it's I don't know what their voice sounds like. I don't know how they like what their communication style is, but it's something where it's just a like a climax or a point where it's like going to be like this is where like the music montage of everybody just dancing and like
Mm-hmm.
having like the fun would be, and then it's just like they wheel out all these barrels of incredibly colorful powder.
Uh-huh.
And then it's just like everyone take fistfuls of this and toss it into the air
Mm.
and celebrate this, and then we will paint a portrait of our 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 merriment upon our bodies, and it's like a color
Yeah.
party type
Like
of
a,
thing,
yeah,
right?
like a color run or something like that.
All of those are very, very intense hallucinogenic colored mushrooms.
Oh my god.
Like not permanent damage, not addictive or anything
Yeah,
like that. But if
everybody wakes up 3 days later
but
just
like
violently
it's
died.
they are like throwing crunk dust into the
Yeah.
air. And then they're just getting colorful, but like, you could go like, well, this color does this and this color does that. But if they're like witch doctory and they're trying to contribute to the party,
Yeah.
and they're like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where people might suspect, or somebody like a good insight check or investigate. It's just like,
This is
is there anything weird
absolutely
with this?
drugs. Yeah.
Is there
Yeah. Yeah.
anything weird with this powder? And then you go like, oh, you ate it. This is drugs. This is
Yeah.
they're just suggesting that we do drugs. Is it dangerous? It's like,
Maybe.
I don't know. There's only one way to
How
find
how
out.
much do you
Rave?
party?
How much do you party? Like,
I that's fun. They live in a ship. This is like in the middle of the swamp. It's like a heavily wooded area. They live in this old ship that is like
mhm,
a wrecked ship. It's like broken in half, but trees have grown up through it and have raised it into the air. So it's like
okay.
suspended in the air, and that's where they live. I could absolutely see them doing like at a certain point certain point in the night, just like uh rave music and lights and stuff are just like coming out of this ship in the tree, and people are like climbing up into the ship to just party into the night.
Pretty funny.
um
That or it's just like like depending on how is the ship in town or outskirts of town? Like,
it's like
is
the
it like
outskirts.
cool, perfect? because it'd be really cool if from the town you could like see the ship a little bit. I don't know how
Right.
tall it
You
is
can see the
because
lights.
well, I was actually gonna say it's something where it's just like, hey, um, was there anything in our drink? And it's like, no, it's just like, well, you know that ship? I I feel like it's moving, and the ship is now like like special occasion tree sailing, like almost like
Just
moving
going
through the
through the treetops.
yeah, to, like, come to pick up the party like a party bus, and then it's almost like it moves amongst the trees before settling back into its home, but if it's like a ship, it's almost like it's
Well,
mended and transported via canopy.
yeah, what I could also do is it has been established in the game that there are these massive snakes that act as like mounts in the swamp. You can just have a giant snake that like slithers through town and people just like hop onto it and it just like goes in this giant loop through the whole town. And so you like get on and you ride it until you want to get off and then you jump off where you want to be. It's like a bus, like a charter bus that's just doing that loop, going to all the different stops at a festival. Um, we we have stuff that we've kind of like outlined of like food, games, activities, parade, music, debauchery, festival potluck. Um, let's start with games. Are there any games that immediately jump out to you as like this is a fun thing to do, like in a game with like the giving the characters a chance to play something?
Hmm. I think that it would be because when I think of, like, carnival games,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hit or miss between scammy, like, scammy type of things, and you
Mm-hmm.
kinda don't want that because I feel like the the vibe of all this would be very good nature and goodwill.
Yes.
So, it would kind of be like, have you ever read the Dark Tower series?
No, I've heard good
Okay.
things.
There is a town, where the characters know that it's gonna be attacked, by something or other, and it's just always that this town just kinda takes it. There's
Okay.
nothing they can do about it, and these 3 gunslingers 4 gunslingers come in and they're like, "Okay, well, there's like 3 guns amongst us. We have this much ammo. It's an army. What can we do?" They're like, "I don't know if we can help these people." And one woman comes up and she's like, I think I have an idea." And it's she in like a cloth, she has like a decorative plate.
Mm,
And they have a legend where it was these 2 gods hated each other, and the female god, in order to kill the other one, invited them to dinner and said, "Hey, there'll be no weapons on it. We'll both eat naked." And he was like, "Yeah." And there was no weapons and they ate. Um and what he didn't realize was that the plate she had before her was sharpened all around the edge except for one
ooh,
point to grab. And then during the meal, she picked up, threw it, and then chopped his head off. So the women of this town do like a carnival game where they a contest where it's they see who's the best plate thrower. And they have, like, practice plates, and they
interesting.
have, like, their family plate where it's like, "This is the nice one," and then we have regular plates we throw that and they're all sharpened except for one point, and but it's like a female tradition, so all the women in the town are it's like axe throwing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
really good at and they, like, chop a pumpkin and stuff like that, and, if they win, it's like, "Fair day goose, fair day," like, they won the prize goose of the fair type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so it's one of those things where contests and things that are, like
Based on town
based
tradition
off
and stuff.
town's tradition,
Yeah.
legend, or something that happened. So if like a person was really about like um if like the person was musically inclined, it's just like a minstrel contest, a song
Hmm.
contest, or it's like, oh, this person loved going to the top of this hill and just watching things. So it's almost like what if it's like a soapbox derby type of thing, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Hmm.
oh, what but like um game contest or things that are like tied to those people or if you know of already like an established tradition type thing.
Hmm.
Because I think those make more sense than something where it's like if you just spring up like a ring toss. You know what
Right.
I mean? If there is something like that, like it almost has to have like not just like, oh, this is themed after this, like it has to have almost like a very specific connection to the person or like the town to be like, oh yeah, we always do this, but we're gonna do it up bigger for this thing. You know, if it's something they do up bigger for like a festival. Um, so if like, oh yeah, everybody bops for apples, but have you ever, bopped for apples, in a lake and it's like they chuck weighted apples into a lake and then they all have to like bob for apples by swimming to go get them and something
Mm,
type of thing. Uh,
I'm
and then
into
you do
that.
little yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to think of those are events,
Yeah.
those are like, it's like you can do different size things where it's like you can have things they can just walk up to, and it's be like, "Oh yeah, so and so loved games of chance, and this is
Yeah.
just literally you just
It's
reach your
just a
hand in,
luck of
and
the draw. Yeah.
it's just a look at the draw thing, and you get a candy." Like make the scales that small, and then it's like, for a bigger like the lake thing, it's just like, oh, someone donated an ox. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like where it's like even the prizes are clearly like put together by a
By the
person
town.
or
Yeah.
the town. So if it's money, it's nothing too crazy unless they can pull that off.
Right.
Or
It's
like,
like
oh, it's a
people
special.
some people organized games, other people like donated things towards the like
Correct.
prizes for the games.
Correct. Yeah, like a
I like
florist
that.
or the florist herbalist or whatever could have like donated some potions and it's just like, oh yeah, it's like you do this, you win, you get a special potion, and it's just like, yeah, you can buy potions, but so and so put some stank on these,
Right.
so it's like these have a little extra whatever.
Yeah.
So it's something where it's just like a person could be like, it's just a potion, I don't want to do it if they don't feel like it. But
Mhm.
like if they do, they get that extra like bit of connection and they understand like, oh, this is put together with this intent, this
Yeah.
this feeling, and then even like the prize, it may not be the craziest thing, or maybe it is. Maybe there's like one person is just like, I will donate 5 solid gold statues of my feet. And it's like that guy's got
Yeah.
statues of his feet. I don't know he had solid goals ones. That
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are
yeah.
those gotta be really expensive, right?
Yeah.
All we gotta do is a soapbox derby? That's weird. Okay, sure.
Something I've done in the past for festivals when it comes to like games is I'll go through and like each stat has like an associated game with it. So like
Mhm.
this is the feat of strength, this is the feat of dexterity, this is the feat of constitution. Like and you go through and come up with something for each of them because like most characters have a stat that they're really good at. And so if
Mhm.
there is a like an activity that is geared towards each stat, it means that like the whole party gets to contribute to something.
Mhm.
Because I've played in games where it was like, okay, we're going to the festival, and it's like, okay, well, I'm a like a charisma based character. I do not have like any physical skills. And all of the like games here are either hit something really hard or like do a little like dodgy thing. Like it's all very physical. So having something for everybody helps ensure that like everybody's going to get a chance to at least participate with a chance of winning, as opposed to having it be a like just physical game.
I like the idea of making it like thinking it with a stat in mind,
Hmm.
but if you apply that reasoning, like if you think of the games, right? And
Hmm.
then you think of like how would I how would I do these if I was trying to do stat based? And think of it like that instead of thinking of like how to like think of a stat and thinking of a game for it.
Hmm.
You can kind of go, "Oh, this is a game because it's such low stakes, they have some time." Even if it is a ring toss, you're really having them hone in on, like, their insight. Like, if it was, like, something
Mm-hmm.
where it was, like, a logic-based one, it's just like, yes, it's a ring toss, but it's actually a math puzzle, and you need to think about how you're going to ricochet or angle it so it's not it would look like a dexterity puzzle and function it like as far as their thing, but it's reality like they roll an intelligence check to see if they can throw it in the right area, right thing, and there is no way to mess it up because they're like it's low stakes, they're there, they have time. So unless there's a weird factor, you know what I mean? So you can go like, all right, yeah, like the ring toss is an intelligence one because you're more focused on where you're doing it and
Mm-hmm.
like your technique that you can kind of whatever instead of like oh it's just dexterity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's more to it than
Well, in that sense, you could almost do it as like the games have multiple different ways that you can attempt to win them.
mhm.
Like you want to, you go to the ring toss as an example. Like, is this, what are you wanting to do? You want to do it as strength, where you're just like trying to really huck it in there. You trying to do it as dexterity to really like get an accurate throw. You want to do it as intelligence to try and figure out the optimal placing, the wisdom to do like insight on the guy running it, like charisma to just talk the guy into letting you win. Like you can kind of go into different ways to do it.
That's actually a really fun the last thing you said, talk the guy into letting you win. Uh because it'd be funny if there was a game and then uh there is there is a game where the point is to whatever, but there is like a secret game where people go, yeah, the point is to like roll the dice and land on this square. But actually, we know like the game is who can talk him into letting us get into the square without actually doing this. So it's like almost like a forgetful old man. And
hmm
it like did you ever see Squid Game?
No,
Uh
I didn't
there
get around to watching it.
there's just a thing where they're playing a game and it's like even or odds, and then the
hmm
old man goes, "Wait, did you do even or odds?" And then the other character has the realization like, "Oh, I could just say blank." So if you make it so it's like, oh, there's like the game works like this, and the secret game that everybody actually plays is who can come up with the most creative way to
Right.
trick their way into
It's like
victory.
a mini game
Yeah,
for the game itself. The game
yeah.
itself is not that fun. Like
It's real simple, real
it's like a
yeah.
little board with like squares on it, and it's just everybody goes around and rolls a die to like see how many squares they move forward, and like whoever gets to the center first
Imagine
wins.
imagine like okay, it's like someone and their grandson, right? And
It I
the
was on the same page there. It's like it's
so it's like
gotta be
a
the
grandfather's like, do if you can open this jar without it, you get a candy. All right, you go ahead, think about it, and I'll take care of this person. And then as you're letting the other person go, their grandson was just like, okay, here's the deal. If you can trick my grandpa on this scale, like you create a rubric or something like that,
Mhm.
I give you 5 gold feet per cool dope way. You trick my grandpa. It's
Or
like so it's the real game.
you do it throughout the entire day, like the full festival. It's like it's not
The
a
thieves guild's like, hey, we'll actually give you like secret tickets if
it,
you cheat your way to victory.
it's not a case of the uh like everybody is like playing this game and like everybody is getting the reward for the like secret thing. It's
Mhm.
like throughout the day the grandson is like writing down all the ways that people have tricked him and then choosing the best one to give the prize at the end of the day. The of like everybody is doing it and it becomes this like upping the stakes of like somebody will do something and they're like that's pretty good, and then later on in the festival they hear that like somebody else went over there and they brought a cat and like put it on the table, and when the old man started petting it the cat played dead and the man freaked out and was like trying to revive the cat, and they like opened the jar on their own and then like put a towel over it and they're like I did it, and he's like what? And turns and opens it, and the jar is open, and he's like, oh, well done. And it's just like people are coming back to replay the game because they now need to up the stakes of the like
Yeah.
way that they did it. I could also see you mentioned like having a like thieves guild. There's not necessarily like it's a very small town.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like I could absolutely see this like ring of like younger people in the village who are like, okay, there are 5 events in the town that are like a little like have a secret mini game. If you complete the secret mini game in all of them, you like come to us and we'll give you a secret prize.
I think there should be. This would probably start, especially if there's no thieves guild or anything like that.
Mhm.
This is one of those slippery slope things, but I think would be fun too. Where
Oh, I
like
have an idea.
Oh, I was gonna say something where it's just like imagine the inception of a morally wholesome thieves guild, where
Mhm.
it's like they're like, hey, do this, but the rules are like you can't get caught, you can't hurt nobody. Almost like there's like rules in place of like, hey, if you're gonna XYZ, it's not to hurt or like to be malicious.
Right.
It's kind of like
It's
a
wholesome.
feat
It's
of
wholesome
it's
trickery.
yeah, it's like it's like, oh, when somebody uses sleight of hand to do a magic trick and to impress and like to be like cool, as opposed to using sleight of hand to pickpocket people and steal and
Right.
and trick. Um and then I just imagine years down the line where it's just like they evolve those talents into like Robin Hoodie or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
now you see me levels of magical feats, like where it just evolves into like wholesome thieves.
Well, and if it's like if you do it with like younger people where it's like
Mhm.
late teenage, early 20s, like that sort of
Mhm.
energy, um, then you could have it be this sort of like they're all good kids, but they are kids and they're mischievous and they're like just they've found this way to channel that mischievous energy into
Mhm.
like it's not going to hurt anybody. It's just our own little like fun thing. And like they're just encouraging other people to play along. Um the thing I thought of was if you do it as there's 5 like side quests, the games could be anything. But there's like these 5 side quests that they have of like if you complete all 5 of them, like you get the secret prize. Then you do 5 out of the 6 stats associated with that thing of like you need to like do a feat of strength in a game that is absolutely not a feat of strength. Like there's a puzzle over there. You need to solve it with strength. There's a like an axe throwing thing over there. You need to like do it with constitution. Like it's this sort of like weird like wrong way to do it, but you do 5 out of the 6 stats and then you choose one of the stats that is the like 6th one, and I think I would do probably wisdom. I think is the 6th one. So it's there are these 5 other ones which is everything except wisdom, and then the wisdom one is once you've completed those 5, you come back and you tell them like, oh, we completed those 5, and they're like, awesome, congratulations, like they mark your thing, and they give you like the special prize, and the special prize isn't great. And the wisdom thing is that's not the special prize. There's a secret 6th task in addition to the other 5 that is just seeing through the bullshit here and knowing that there is a secret like another secret prize, and if you call them on it then you get the actual secret prize.
I I like that. I How do you level that playing field
Hmm.
so anybody has a fair shot of doing it?
I think we do it as team based, where it's like the party is competing
Mhm.
together to get this prize,
No,
and
I'm
there's
talking about the super secret thing because I feel like that's like an insight check or you know what I mean? But like, how could you do it? It's like this guy's an idiot. Like, how could he have a fair shake at this? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think
like,
that's the thing is like the prize that they're giving out is
yeah,
already like is still a prize. It's still a
yeah,
bonus
yeah, yeah,
prize.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
just not as good as they were led to believe it would be.
yeah.
And so it is very much a like they have this additional prize, but they don't want to give it to anybody. They want to
Yeah.
give it to somebody they feel has earned it, that they have been bested by.
Hmm.
And so it's like I picture it as like the majority of the people that are doing this are like between 15 and like 19,
Yeah.
and then there's like the one guy who's like 22 who is like the been organizing the whole thing, and like he has organized this additional secret thing that like he only wants to give this to somebody who is on an equal playing field in this
So how do
nonsense.
they prove that part?
What
The secret,
that there is another
the,
one?
yeah.
I think it is just a like you have to confidently like call
I
him on
I
it.
I think like if a player just like role playing said something like, "What?" Like sometimes a player will just make a baseless accusation,
Yeah.
and they technically haven't had anything to like whatever. I imagine the scenario of like the barbarian going to say, "This is garbage. You know you have a thing like that," and then just as the party's about to go, like, "Hey man, look, just calm down, chill." It's like the guy going, "You
I
got
knew
me."
I liked you.
And like
Yeah.
that's the ultra secret way to just get it.
Yeah.
But for like someone to figure it out, it's like, all right, it's an insight check.
Yeah.
And then if they suck at insight, well, like how would we like make it so like anybody could just figure it out? Like,
Right.
are you laying
I
clues out? Are you making it like oh, XYZ person hung out with that person a lot? So it's like, hey, you
I
have
think it's
advantage.
a case of like uh it is there is a bonus secret thing. And the reason I would tie it to the stats for the like missions is that there are 5 of them. Which means that one is being left out intentionally. Um and so
Mm.
there is that little bit of like from the metagamey clue of it. Um
That's good. That's
uh
good.
of like there should be like it's very intentionally one for
That's
each
good.
stat. So if there's one missing, like to me, if I looked at it and was like, okay, we had to do a feat of strength, a feat of dexterity, a feat of constitution, a feat of intelligence, and a feat of charisma, where was wisdom? Wisdom
Yeah.
seems like an easy one to like put
Yeah.
in there. Why is that not in the listing?
I I also this is something I would do and I kind of want to do from now on, whether or not it's in new rules or not. Um if I were to go, everybody make a roll and use your uh what do you call it? Like you know how like I guess your proficient stat, I guess. You
Yeah.
know how like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like, oh, monks are proficient in dexterity and wisdom, right?
Like
It's just like
their saving throws?
I guess,
Or just
yeah.
or just the stats that they most often are like associated
No,
with.
no, because I guess it would be saving throws because it's like they're most commonly associated with two stats. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
most
It's like
classes have
every
two
every
that are kind
class
of
has like
important. Yeah.
so it's just like use your main stat. So if you're a
Right.
bard, use your charisma, but tell everybody to roll with their main stat, like their raw modifier,
Yeah.
and everybody would be having that level playing field of like if it's the barbarian, he's like that pack still looks like it's heavy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Oh, if it's intelligence, they puzzle out like, hey, if there's this, this, and this. If it's the charisma one, it's just like, I've lied this good before. He's
Right.
put it, you know what I mean? Like everybody can
There's
approach
a
the
way to
solution.
approach it from each
Yeah,
each dominant stat. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like that's how you would level a playing field.
Yeah.
If somebody comes out and just says it, if somebody does a really good insight check, but
Yeah,
it's
if you
somehow
want
somebody
to level the playing field, there are absolutely ways to do it.
like you could full blown just be like the dexterity character is just like every time I step over here, he kind of keeps turning. Will
Right.
he like keep doing that? "Hey, man, why is it every time I'm walking here, you keep, hey, what are you hiding? What are you hiding?" And
Yeah.
then it's
What's
just now
behind your
they're
back?
what's behind your
Um,
back? And it's just
I
kind of
like
like
that.
they, you know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
kind of give everybody that fair shake,
Hmm.
uh, and make it so like that thing where somebody can share like their proficiency bonus with something where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, now the druid can make this charisma check because the so and so's sharing it. It's like everybody can just do it and
Hmm.
they're doing it their own way. Everybody's capable, just
Yeah.
everybody deals with it in a different way.
Well, and this party, like this group that I'm running for is also, do you remember when we talked about like luck as a skill?
Mhm.
That this is that group. So they all have like luck stats as well, with like modifiers. And so occasionally I
Mm,
will call for
okay.
like roll this and add your luck modifier to it.
Okay, that's a good.
Um,
All right, well
uh,
that's that
for
good equalizer then, yeah.
like carnival type games, it could absolutely also be a like, okay, you're doing the ring toss, is going to be dexterity plus your luck modifier. Like
That's
you
good.
gotta
That's really good.
be a little lucky, but like some of them have garbage luck modifiers. Like some of them are very unlucky. So like that's a different way to approach it as well, depending on what you want to do. And if you're running a game where you don't already have that, at the
Mhm.
beginning of the festival, you could be like, everybody's going to make a luck check for the day to determine how lucky you are going into this festival day, and like get that modifier for the day if you wanted to.
Do do the players know that this is happening?
The festival,
This event? Yeah.
yeah. So the person who like died and it's like their
Yeah.
birthday and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah. Yeah.
was a party member. Like
Okay.
that person is the character who like their family is from
Yeah, yeah.
here, and so like that's the
So
whole reason that they ever came here to begin with, was for that character, and they've come here a few times since then, because like it's one of the few places that they as a party feel safe. Yeah.
so does the party is the party aware? Like, and that's the thing, I'm probably over making this
Hmm.
bigger than it might end up, but like is the party aware of the scale of this? Because there's also an
No,
aspect
because
of
it's the first they came here kind of like they were looking for somewhere to lay low, and so they came here because they knew it was like gonna be a safe place for them, and they needed like a few days to lay low. A bunch of them had points of exhaustion and stuff, and so they were just needing a place to lay low. And then Mama Gaither was like, well, you're welcome to stay here, like there's a festival this weekend, you're more than welcome to stay for that, we would love to have you. So they are fully not aware of what any sort of scale for this is going to be.
Mhm. Well, no, that's really good. That's really cool then because I was the like an element that I feel like we kind of danced around,
Hmm.
uh, like, and this will be the last thing we can really like dive into, like, food, games, but I think just like the general vibe,
Yeah.
like just like the general tone and vibe of it is kind of like a big deal, and
Yeah.
I think it would be really kind of fun if they're going into a thing, it's like, oh, it's essentially a big party, or they're saying it's going to be like a carnival or something, but like there's either like the breadcrumbs starting to go like, wait, how big is this going to be, or like, oh, what's actually happened, is there going to be a lot of stuff,
Right.
or they're just there, or they're whatever, and it's like an overnight everybody brought the party type of
Right.
situation. Like they're there. It's like, so tomorrow we're all going to be doing stuff. It's like, yeah. And then the town is like normal. Nothing is whatever.
Yeah.
And then they wake up and it's like, they're, it's almost like, are we in a different city all of a sudden?
Yeah. I'm picturing it being like
Decorations and,
a multi-day thing too, of like
mhm.
they technically, where we left off is like they were told tomorrow is when the like festival is, but when they like went out and came back to town, and they were already like, there's music, things, there's like decorations are being put up, like there's already
Yeah.
food out,
Okay.
like,
Good. Yeah.
and so like it's the night before and the
So,
festivities are already starting, and then it'll be
so,
all day the next day, probably through the night into the next morning.
so then what I think would be a really fun thing to do is imagine the scale and grandness you want, and then kind of build up to it.
Yeah.
Make it so the festival is not done or set up the way you want it to end up.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, there's some streamers. I see a thing over there, and so's got this. And then by the afternoon, it's like, yo, there was like one stall with somebody like put out some food. There's 15 now.
Right.
Like
when
everybody
they
just saw.
when they wake up, it's all set up.
Oh
Very-
no, no, I'm talking about during the day.
Oh, throughout
almost-
the day, it's continuing to grow.
Because this is
Mhm.
because this has never happened.
Right.
It's almost just like
as people are
like-
seeing other people are
Correct.
participating.
Exactly.
Like we used
So
to have
imagine-
like community garage sales.
Yes,
and you
yes,
would
yes.
see like a house that absolutely didn't do anything and then saw that everybody else was and like started pulling stuff out of their garage.
Correct. Especially if this is like a potluck festival.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where somebody's like, you know what? I thought it might be fun to play a game.
Yeah.
And then somebody's just like, I saw Jeff was doing a game and I was like, I gotta get in on this. And
Yeah.
they went home and they built a thing and they brought it. And it's just like, I got a game over here, everybody. And
Yeah.
then, it's just kind of like, so imagine all the elements you want, but don't make them there yet.
Right.
Make it
You
they
could
were
even
there, they
have
went
it
to-
be if it is like a big enough thing, you could have like close by settlements and towns. People start coming from them.
I was gonna say that's why how long you're gonna do it. It's kind of like it ends up being much bigger than they even fathomed
Right.
because it was literally streamers. So and so's got some pies that they made. We might do a pie eating contest.
Mm-hmm.
And like was somebody brought pies, but enough people brought pies. Now there's a pie eating contest.
Right.
There wasn't enough pies for a contest before 12, but now
Right.
there is.
Well,
it's
and
kind of
it's
like
starting.
it escalates and snowballs.
And especially since it's starting as a like we've starting on kind of a somber note that is like we need to celebrate these things.
Correct. Yeah.
But like it's starting as essentially like this person who lost their son is like, I'm gonna throw kind of an event for
Yeah.
like their birthday in like honor of them, celebrating their life and all of that. And then other people being like, oh yeah, like it's been a rough year. We've also lost things, like we'll contribute to this as well. And it's slowly growing.
It is,
and then
especially if the
as-
person had renowned. If they
Yeah.
had renowned,
Yeah.
then it kind of becomes like anybody they've ever helped, even if
Mhm.
they're not from the town, if they were from the Tri-City area,
Right.
it's a great opportunity for cameos, for like, people. It's just like, whoa, how'd you? It's like, yo, I heard you guys were doing a thing for this, and I brought go-karts. It's like, oh shit, Mert brought go-karts, and it's just kind of like, oh damn, it's just
Mert,
like,
how'd
now
you
that-
get here? You're from the Forgotten Realms. It's a different
it's just
world.
like, yo, I heard so
I heard
died.
there
and
was a
you were
great
doing-
party. I can't
doing
pass
it
up a great party.
I'm fucking brought go-karts. It's just like, you know what I mean?
Mert
And it's just-
absolutely would have go-karts.
yeah. Oh,
They're all
God, yeah.
modeled like little different monsters, like an owlbear and a dragon and like all
Oh
of those
my
different
God.
things.
But like it's one of
I
those.
claim
like,
the bullet.
Yeah, it's like almost like rank, like think of all the elements you want, rank them from like, simplest, folksy, like,
Right.
like real, like wholesome and whatever, and then the ones that are the most ridiculous,
Right.
and then stack them and then almost put your like timeline over it.
Yeah.
Because then you can go like they're here,
Yeah.
and then like, oh, you guys were like, you went inside to have lunch. You
Right.
came back. You now see a Ferris wheel. It's like, how
Right.
the hell did they do that in a half hour?
Well,
You know what I mean?
and-
It's like,
And depending on how like they're adventurers, like the adventurers know how to like kind of party. So if you have like a kind of a local hometown festival that
Yeah.
then all of a sudden has like micro celebrities that are like there and partying with people,
oh, it's a little con at this point. Yeah,
the element starts growing, and it
Like, I
starts getting
imagine
like
your-
kind of a bigger
I imagine
deal.
your Drider witch doctor thing almost being like whispering to like the plants. It's like, let everyone know. And it's just like they send out a tweet, and it's literally like
It's just
birds are gonna go
birds.
out. Birds go out and they just go, party at the swamp. Party at the swamp.
Party at the swamp.
I
And
love
then
that.
Mert shows up with fucking go-karts. Like,
Mert
"Yo,
shows
I
up with
got a little-
go-karts.
A little birdie told me there's a party at a swamp.
I heard it's
Brought
somebody's
go-karts.
birthday. I brought go-karts.
Yeah, bro,
Mert is that drunk uncle who just like shows up halfway through the birthday party and is like, I heard you're 15. Here's a gun.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm so excited for next session now.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fun putting
But
together.
I think that this would be very fun to do the slow burn
Yeah,
reveal
I agree.
and make it so it's one of those things where at the end of the session somebody just has that realization like, yo, wasn't it like literally just a table and like somebody cut out some decorations
Mhm.
out of like tablecloths? Like, isn't that how this started?
Yeah,
There's an ice sculpture.
yeah,
Who made an ice swan? Like, when did that get here? And it's just like everybody's just like, you would not put together that this was the same place,
right,
that this was organized, because
right.
obviously it snowballed. And especially if you make it like the parents or whatever, or the organizers.
Yeah,
I have been to parties, or like I've had a situation where it's like a person throws a party and then it's like somebody does something, they're like, oh yeah, you know, that's a good idea. And then their brain is snowballing. It's like, oh well, you know what, we should probably get this, or like, oh, you know,
right.
who would have a good time here. And then everything kind of like they wouldn't have they wouldn't have included any of XYZ in the original scope. But
Yeah,
as they see this, they're like, well, in order to do this right, like we should
yeah,
also ask so and so. We should also get something or other.
yeah.
What would I need to do to make this happen? And then it becomes like
Go see
after
if
the
Jeff
first
down the street has any folding chairs. Like we need more seating.
Ex
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, exactly, and then everybody's cobbled together, and it just becomes, but if that's the vibe,
Yeah,
imagine, like, it always ends like that. It's like, "Oh,
right.
yeah, this party," it's just like, "Oh, yeah, this is a real quaint thing," so it's like, wait for 3 hours, man, like,
Yeah,
this every year, this starts out like this.
yeah.
There's gonna be a strip club somewhere in this city before the day is
Yeah,
done,
there
like,
isn't
it's gonna be
currently.
wild.
We don't have one
There's
now.
not one. There will
By
be a
3
building,
a.m., it will be
a
fully functional.
there will be a house of debauchery in
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
building, in a building in this
yeah.
city before the evening is through.
And you can have things like fortune telling. You can have
Mhm.
like typical like fair games of like bobbing for apples, or
Yeah.
like wrestling a pig, or like climb a tree and get the ring like the gold ring that's tied to the top branch.
Mhm.
Like chase a chicken, like all those sorts of like festivals. And it's just the more people start participating, everybody who starts participating is like,
Oh my god.
oh, I want to do a thing with this. That's so much fun.
I don't know how magic works in your in your thing, but I would love a, like, it's just like, hey, you want to participate in chase the chicken? It's like, yeah, sure. And it's like, all right, here we go. And then like somehow earlier in that day, or if they've ever encountered the most ninja person on the planet,
Uh-huh.
he's there, right? And
Yeah.
then he's stretching, and they're like, what are you doing here? It's just like, well, you signed up for chase the chicken, right? And then a druid, like 3 druids and a wizard come out, and they're like, you
Yeah.
ready, Jeff? It's like, yeah, let's go. And they do the right combination of spells to turn them into a chicken that retains their like their all the stats they need, right?
Like
And
freedom
so
of movement, long strider. Yeah.
oh yes, so
Yeah.
it's essentially just like a ninja chicken, like from Madagascar, like one of the
Yeah. Yeah.
penguins. You like, it's just like, and the chicken's like, bark, bark. And then so it's like, "Doo, doo, doo," and you have to park. It's like
Yeah.
not just a chicken anymore. It's like, oh god, it's a ninja chicken. It's like a small chicken Aarakocra.
Chicken
It's like,
goes.
now I have to.
Chicken going Super Saiyan.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah,
But like,
the
make sure
like
it's like,
little what's the like comb and waddle
yeah,
on
just
the chicken just go like that glowing gold.
it's like one of those things where like, especially if like this is like after a major climax in the campaign or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, somebody's just like, wait, are you telling me we could have combined a lot of weird magics to do that to us? And then like somebody comes out of nowhere, it's just like, it only works on chickens, and then they walk away. They just like fucking fade into the night.
We tried it with a halfling. He blew up.
Only works on chickens. So if you wanted to fight the Demon King as a chicken, I mean, be my guest, but you can only
I don't
combine that
recommend
many. Don't recommend it.
Oh man,
Mert, what are you doing here? How did you get so many go-karts?
Mert, how did you get these go-karts, and why are they all being driven by ninja chickens?
Bark, bark, bark. Family, bark, bark.
The Fast the Furious theme starts playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
combined
man.
a lot of things just there.
Okay.
We have to go.
We have to go.
but-
I love that. This is great. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. Your calls to action. If there are go-karts near you,
I was gonna say
go
that.
do go-karts. Get some like festival type food. It doesn't have to be from a festival, but like, what is your favorite festival food? Go find that. Corn dogs, funnel cakes.
I have a tough one.
Kettle corn. You have a good one, last one?
I have a tough call to action. Yeah. I'm very. I am not the type of person to show up at somebody's house. And if somebody shows up at my house, it really depends on the situation, right?
Yeah.
So I always go like, oh, it's too late to call someone, too late to this. And any like, I think as an adult, sometimes you get to the point where like you lose that thing you do in your when you're a teenager and young adult, where you just text people, say like, yo, who wants to chill? And then you get together a random impromptu hang. See if you can get together an impromptu hang and see if it snowballs into like, yo, I just texted so to see if like they want to play Mario Kart, and then it turns into like, yo, I haven't seen so and so since high school. Like there's a strip club all of a sudden in my backyard. Mert bought fucking go-karts. What is going on? I just want to play Mario Kart, and Mert brought actual go-karts. This is wild.
Yeah. We're street racing and go-karts down the road.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's full here, like just actually here.
It's Mert played by Vin Diesel. I love that. I still do that occasionally. I'll just like message a group chat and be like, somebody come hang out with me. I did that on Wednesday, I think. I think it was Wednesday. I like messaged like 3 different Discord chats that I'm in. It was just like, hey, does anybody want to play a one-shot tonight? I got nothing happening. I just want to play with people. Yeah, that's a great one. Absolutely hit people up, see if you can hang out. Not enough people approach friendships the same way that we did as kids, where it's just like, we're friends, so we should want to do things.
Correct.
Yeah, and then don't addendum to that one. Don't be upset if people can't do it. The people have busy adult lives.
Yeah,
but
it's one of those things where it happens. But
it still feels good as
the
the person being invited somewhere to be like, hey, do you want to hang out? If I can't, I'm still like, thank you so much for inviting me. Like that means a lot that you wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will be back on Monday. Until then, remember to embrace the nonsense, and we'll see you then. Bye, y'all.